Over the last few years, Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo has become increasingly sycophantic when it comes to Donald Trump. Each interview she gives him is easier and easier, never questioning his ludicrous and outrageous ideas and his claims. And we have another interview with her from this weekend, and it couldn't have gone worse. And what's very funny to see is that although her interviews get easier and easier for Trump figures out a way to do even more poorly, regardless of how easy the interview is. Donald Trump seems both to have recovered from coronavirus and be sicker than ever in a certain way. We're going to go through this one and really think about what it means for our country, that this is the president of the United States. Trump kicking things off with the most powerful topic you can imagine. Trump urges the media to cover the fact that Joe Biden coughed the day before. Take a look at this.
I really don't. I don't believe it. And speaking about Joe Biden, if you look at Joe, he was coughing yesterday horribly and grabbing his mask as he's coughing and speaking and grabbing his mask and coughing. And I don't know what that was all about. And it didn't get much press because the press doesn't do that. But he was coughing yesterday quite badly, I must tell you. And it was not a good thing to watch. And as he's coughing, he's grabbing his mask with his fingers. So you may want to look into that, too.
So that's that, right? A very, very powerful critique of Joe Biden. Trump asked about the Florida rally from last night. Maria Bartiromo, knowing that Trump planned to do a rally last night, which he did, which we'll cover later, saying, what are you going to do to keep people safe from coronavirus at your rally? And Trump answers merely by talking about himself. Look.
I want you to answer your critics, because your critics are getting upset about your event at the White House yesterday, about your rally that you're planning tomorrow. They say it is still too soon for you to be around people and to be going out, that you could still spread COVID. What are you doing in terms of ensuring that everyone will be safe at your rally in Florida this week, tomorrow?
Well, the doctors, the White House doctors, as you know, are the best. And they said totally free of spreading. There's no spread. And there wasn't yesterday either. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I was on a balcony. The closest person was probably a couple of 100 feet away. And they were down on grass. There was nobody even close to me yesterday. But even yesterday, I knew I was free.
What will you do to keep people safe? I have great doctors. I'm not going to spread this thing. And Trump doesn't even, he's so narcissistically delusional that he doesn't seem to get, the concern isn't just, are you going to give the virus to someone? It's you're packing people together with very few masks and they're going to give it to each other. It doesn't even enter into Trump's way of thinking. Trump then claims to have a protective glow now that he has had coronavirus.
I passed the highest test, the highest standards, and I'm in great shape. And I have to tell you, I feel fantastically. I really feel good. And I even feel good by the fact that, the word immunity means something. Having really a protective glow means something. I think it's very important to have that. To have that is a very important thing.
Yeah, Trump's just radioactive from the virus, ladies and gentlemen. Trump then tried to talk policy. This is where you really see how Trump's cognition is suffering. It has declined. He is completely unable to talk about policy. Trump just wildly says, as soon as we win, everybody gets a middle income tax cut. But at this point, does anybody believe it?
People, we're giving a middle income tax cut very soon. As soon as we win, we're giving a middle-income tax cut. It'll be a very substantial middle-income tax cut. And I've already done this.
As soon as I win, I give out a tax cut. Well, why do you need to win? Why not do it now? Or why didn't you already do it? Well, I've already done it. Wait, so if you've already done it, why are you doing it again? Incoherent, no detail, just like, I must remind you, in August, Donald Trump was interviewed by Chris Wallace. In that interview, Donald Trump said, in 2 weeks, we are signing a new healthcare system into law. That was in early August. 2 weeks have come and gone. 4 weeks have come and gone. 8 weeks have now come and gone. Whatever happened to that healthcare bill, we don't know. Trump then again completely unable to answer this question he's now gotten 4, 5, 6 times. What is your agenda for the second term? The answer, it's beyond parody. You can't satirize the answer because there is no answer.
Back in February, what do you want to do in terms of your policies in a second term, sir?
Well, the first thing we have to do, Marie, is open up our country. You can't keep all these states closed up, the Democrat states, and they're not doing well. And the country is doing well. We're looking like a super V. But, despite the fact New York has to open up, New York's like a ghost town. New York is very sad what's going on there. And other places. We just won a case in Michigan against the governor that is, I call her the complainer in chief. All she does is complain, except when she's on the phone directly. All she does is say, thank you very much for doing such a great job.
What's your platform for the second term? Open the country during a pandemic. Everything's great, though, but Democrats are bad. New York is sad. Michigan is bad. Wait, so what's your second term policy? I'm confused. There is none, ladies and gentlemen. Then in the middle of the interview, it's almost a non sequitur. It gets weird. Maria Bartiromo asks Donald Trump, are there UFOs? And Trump, again, it's beyond parody. Trump says he's going to look into that very strongly. Take a look at this.
Mr. President, as we wrap up here, are there UFOs?
Well, I'm going to have to check on that. I mean, I've heard that. I heard that 2 days ago, so I'll check on that. I'll take a good, strong look at that. But I will tell you this. We now have created a military, the likes of which we've never had before in terms of equipment, the equipment that we have, the weapons that we have.
Trump's going to take a good, strong, hearty look at whether there are UFOs. But what he's sure of is he loves the military industrial complex, bragging about all the guns and weapons that he's purchased. And then to close out the interview, to round it out, the president calls the FBI scum, and Maria Bartiromo says, okay, as she's trying to wrap up the interview.
And the FBI, look, the greatest people in the world are in the FBI, but the top people were scum, absolute scum.
Okay.
And they did a horrible job for our country.
Mr. President, we so appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much, sir. President Donald J. Trump.
The FBI are scum. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. President. So the interviews get easier and easier. These are supposed to be gotchas. Gimmies for Donald Trump. Just easy, like a 2-foot putt, which I don't know if Trump can make a 2-foot putt. He cheats at golf, too. But it's supposed to be like the proverbial 2-foot putt. And Trump just can't do it. He can't do it. And taking a page out of his notebook is his son, Eric Trump, who himself was interviewed over the weekend. And that's what I want to talk about next.